Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on Fortnight Current Affair, also known as FCA. In this session, we'll be looking into the 10 most important news that were important for the entire fortnight. This is Fortnight 1 for the month of December. We have two fortnight every month. The first fortnight is released on second Sunday and the second fortnight is released on fourth Sunday. The coverage of this initiative include three important components, that is the Hindu, Indian Express, and the PIB. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I begin the session, just to tell you about the topic list, these are the 10 most important news that were relevant for the entire fortnight. You can pause this video and you can read out the content one by one. And before beginning the session, if you're new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press like button. So starting the session with the first news, that is India assume presidency of United Nations Security Council, that is UNSC. India has recently assumed the rotationally presidency of 15th United Nations Security Council for the month of December, and it is expected to host signature event on counter-terrorism and reform multilateralism. Now, what are the key priorities for India? First is definitely counter-terrorism, and other is reforming the multilateralism. India during its presidency that will accumulate in the completions of 2 year of tenure as a non-permanent member of the 15 nation powerful body. Now, UNSC Security Council की अगर बात करें, United Nations Security Council was established by the UN Charter in 1945. It is one of the 6 principal organs for the United Nations, and its primary responsibility is to work to maintain international peace and security in the region. The council is headquartered at New York, in the United States. Now, the member of UNSC councils की अगर बात करें, the council has 14 members, 5 permanent member and 10 non-permanent members. So in that total, 5 has the veto power and the 10 being the non-permanent member, right? The 5 permanent members include United Nations, basically United States, Russia's Federation, France, China and United Kingdom. So ये 5 member countries, and many a time a question is framed on this particular section also. And India has entered the United Nations Security Council as a non-permanent member. Niti Aayog proposes decarbonization of industrial emissions. According to the latest report on policy framework of the CCUS, which is prepared by the Niti Aayog, right? Niti Aayog, MN Dastoor and Company, carbon capture and utilization storage की बात करें, the technology for decarbonization emission has played a critical role for the country to halve the carbon dioxide emission by 2050. The highest pollution in the sector is contributed by steel, cement, oil and gases, petrochemicals, chemicals and fertilizers. Now, what is WCUS or CCUS? It's a carbon capture utilization storage. This encompasses the methods and technology to remove the CO2 from the flue gas of the atmosphere following the recycling of the CO2 for the utilization and determining safe and permanent storage options. Now, CCUS has an important and critical role to play, especially for India's to accomplish net zero by 2070. Now, sustainable solutions की अगर बात करें, Niti Aayog is trying to develop a consensus with other ministries on reducing the CO2 emissions, and there is a need for sustainable solutions for the decarbonization of the sector by 70%. India has already set a target. During the Paris climate change also, it was said India had advocated for its commitment, and that continued in the COP26, right? अगर बात करें COP26 मीटिंग की, वहाँ पे भी इंडिया ने एडवोकेट किया कि वो सारे कमिटमेंट को पूरी करेगी. एंड द लेटेस्ट COP27, which also call for lost and damaged fund, India is committed to achieve the sustainable solutions. India's Digital Inequality Report 2022. According to the new Oxfam India report, which is titled as India's Inequality Report Digital Divide, Indian women are 15% less likely to own a mobile phone and 33% less likely to use internet services compared to men. This is what the report has quoted. Even you can use this example in your mains answer, right? अगर आप मेंस में लिख रहे हैं तो आप एग्जाम्पल पे से जरूर कोट करें, स्पेसिफिकली इन जनरल स्टडीज पेपर 1 and general studies paper 2. The report analysis said that the primary data of the center from the monitoring, इन्होंने जो basically data लिया था वो CMI की data ली for the household survey. The women constitute only 1/3 of the internet user in India. The widest gender gap देखी गई as per the following study. Asia Pacific fears that the worst widest gender gap is 40.4%. It also point out the rural-urban divide in the country, despite registering a significant digital growth, which is around 13% of the year basis. 31% of the rural population uses internet, and 67% have their urban counterpart. So comparatively, rural area में अभी भी काफी कम and low participation से. State internet penetrations की अगर बात करें, Maharashtra is the state which has highest state penetration, followed by Goa and Kerala, and the lowest was witnessed in Bihar, followed by Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand. Right? As per the NSS survey, about 9% of the students who enroll in the courses have access to computer with internet, and 25% who enroll have access to internet through any kind of devices. Now, digital push driven by the pandemic has resulted India as experiencing the large number of real-time digital transition in 2021 at 48.6 billion. Formal financial services की अगर बात करें, in rural area, the tendency of using formal financial service is lowest, especially at ST community. और SC हाउसहोल्ड में बात करें उसके अलावे OBC है, तो फर्स्ट नंबर पे जो सबसे डिप्राइव हैं वो ST के लोग हैं, दूसरे SC देन OBC. The likelihood of access of computer is more in general categories people or the under reserved category people, then that is followed by OBC, ST and SC. According to UNE Participation Index, which is a composite measure for three important dimensions, that is e-governance being first, second is the provisions of online services, telecommunication, connectivity, and human capacity, has ranked India 105 among 193 countries. So this ranking is again important for your examination, specifically prelims, और आपसे जो तीन component है उसके बारे में भी पूछी जा सकती है. Among all religion, Sikh has the highest number of highly likelihood having computers, followed by Christian, Hindus, and the Muslim being the lowest. Fourth India-France annual defense dialogue. Recently, Defense Minister of India has co-chaired the fourth India-France annual defense dialogue with French Minister, right? These are from the armed forces, and according to the Defense Ministry, a wide range of bilateral, regional, and defense industrial cooperation were discussed during this dialogue. The minister reviewed the ongoing military-to-military cooperations that has increased in substantial recent years. The focus on Make in India, the dialogue, some of the key features of the discussion include the defense industrial cooperation with focus in Make in India, future collaboration and potential co-production opportunities, technical groups from both countries that should meet next year and take key cooperation forward, and focus on the Indo-Pacific region. डिफेंस कॉपरेशंस की अगर बात करें इंडिया और फ्रांस के बीच में ऑलरेडी कुछ ऐसी एक्सरसाइजेज हैं जो कंटिन्यूड हैं इंडिया और फ्रांस के बीच में. द फर्स्ट एक्सरसाइज इज ऑफ आर्मी, दैट इज एक्सरसाइज शक्ति. फॉर नेवी वी हैव एक्सरसाइज वरुणा. फॉर एयरफोर्स द एक्सरसाइज इज नेम्ड एज एक्सरसाइज गरुड़ा. Center to prioritize ways for Manrega site supervisor. Recently, Union Rural Development Ministry ने devise किया एक protocol where they will prioritize the payments for the made site supervisor under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Scheme. And in the recent time, there has been persistent complaint from mates and site supervisor about their wage under Manrega, and accordingly that has been delayed. Provisions क्या है wage payment को लेकर के? Under the wage payment, the wages of unskilled worker has to be paid within 15 days. तो 15 days ये एक मैंडेटरी टाइम है जहाँ पे उनकी पेमेंट करनी होती है. अगर पेमेंट नहीं होती है तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट उनको कंपनसेशन पे करती है. दिस इज ओनली फॉर द अनस्किल्ड वर्कर. नाउ द मेड सुपरवाइजर आर द फ्रंट लाइन सुपरवाइजर ऑफ द प्रोग्राम एंड दे आर सेमी स्किल्ड. तो ये सेमी स्किल्ड होने की वजह से इनकी पेमेंट काफ़ी ज़्यादा डिले हुई है. एंड नाउ दे आर आस्किंग मेनी स्टेट्स कि वो एज अनस्किल्ड वर्कर नहीं, बेसिकली वो सेमी स्किल्ड वर्कर नहीं, अपने आप को अनस्किल्ड वर्कर ट्रीट करना चाहते हैं. द डिफरेंट इन द वेजेस एज कंपेयर टू द अनस्किल्ड वर्कर इज यूजुअली माइनर, एंड इवन अ बिट डिले इन द पेमेंट फॉर द सेमी स्किल्ड वर्कर व्हिच कैन गो अप टू द ईयर. तो जहाँ पे अनस्किल्ड वर्कर की पेमेंट कुछ दिनों से डिलेड होती है, तो जो यहाँ पे सेमी स्किल्ड वर्कर है उनकी पेमेंट कई बार लंबी डिले हो जाती है. Now, there's a material component. The wage of the maids of the site supervisor are made under the material component of the state government, often cleared by the vendor bills. And this is related, separated to the supply of raw material that is on the construction site before the curling maid payments. And the wages come under the material component, that is 60% of the wage, which is wage payment is basically been contributed by the union government. The Rajya Sabha cleared the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill. The Parliament has recently passed the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill. The bill seeks for better management of protected area and also provide for certain permitted activities like grazing, movement of livestock, and bona fide using the drinking and household water by the local communities. The bill was passed by the Rajya Sabha by the voice vote, and the Lok Sabha has cleared the legislation in August itself during the monsoon session. क्या है वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन अमेंडमेंट बिल में? कुछ नहीं. द वाइल्ड लाइफ अमेंडमेंट बिल 2021, which has undergone the scrutiny with the parliamentary panel, seeks to conserve and protect the wildlife for better management of protected areas, that is rationalized in the schedule of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Aim and objective की अगर बात करें, according to the statement of the objective and reasons of the bill, the wildlife was basically this was enacted to provide protections to the wildlife, bird and animal with the purview to ensure ecological and environmental security to the organism in the country. But ये जो नई बिल अमेंडमेंट लाई गई है इसमें कंजर्वेशन और मैनेजमेंट पे खासा ध्यान दी गई है. These are the two aspects which has been included under this act for the better management of the protected areas. Now, Wildlife Protection Amendment proposes the rationalized to amend the schedule, which list out the species. The purpose for the clarity ensure better care for the seized life and even for the seized wildlife part in the product. The bill further seeks to enable control of invasive annual species and allowing the transfer of transport of elephant by ownership with the certificates in accordance with the condition that is prescribed by the central government. The new chapter 5B include की गई है. This also proposes to insert the new chapter under the act, and this called for regulation of international trade of endangered species with wild flora and fauna and allow the states board of the wildlife to constitute the standing committees. तो ये mandatory provisions हैं. These are the party to convention on international trade on endangered species on wildlife, flora and fauna, which requires the appropriate measures to be taken to enforce the provisions of the conventions. Third round of India-EU Free Trade Agreement, this is also known as FTA. India and EU has recently participated in the third round of free trade agreement negotiation. The signing of the strategic partnership agreement in 2007 marked the beginning of the discussion between the two parties until 2030, and India and EU are celebrating 60 years of bilateral ties in 2023. Focus area की अगर बात करें, market access for digital commerce, agriculture products, geographical indications, India-EU negotiation are anticipated to cover the investment protections agreement. Now, India-EU trade relations value की अगर बात करें, India is the second largest trading partner to the United Union after United States, and India has bilateral trade value which has increased by 43.5% in 2021 and reaching to 116 billion. India anticipates the growth to exclude the textile, leather, sports equipment, processed food since the proposed FTA, and equal footing that is for the revival of India's Bangladesh and nations like Vietnam that has already privileged access to the EU market. Now, UNDP to help worker to access to government scheme. The UNDP is acting as a bridge to ensure that these people are actually being benefited. United Nations Development Program is helping the worker from the waste segregation industries in India to move into the formal economy by helping them with the government schemes and program. As a part of this initiative, United Nations Under Secretary will distribute Jan Dhan account kits to the waste segregated worker, and opening of the account has been facilitated through UNDP Plastic Waste Management Program. Now, what is the aim of this initiative? The purpose of the UNDP will ensure the well-being and the financial inclusion of Safai Sathi or the waste pickers by linking them to the social protection scheme, which is already there in the government of India, right? And according to the United Nations Assembly, a key objective of the program is to help and move the sector from informal to the formal sector. यूएनडीपी ने अपनी असिस्टेंस दी है ताकि लोगों को ज़्यादा मदद मिल पाए, उनको अवेयरनेस हो कि क्या एक्चुअल गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया उनके लिए स्कीम लेकर के आई है. This is done by linking the worker to the social protection schemes such as Jan Dhan account, Aadhaar card, Ayushman Bharat pension scheme, and scholarship scheme for the children. Sri Lanka seeks India help to boost the dairy output. Recently, Sri Lanka president has sought India's assistance to make dairy sector as self-sufficient and reduce imports. Basically, Sri Lanka is importing the milk and a huge demand is there. The domestic demand काफ़ी ज़्यादा है जिस वजह से वहाँ पे इनको import करनी पड़ रही है. Sri Lanka spent over 300 million to import dairy products and this has restricted the bank because वो उनकी जो payment है वो basically forex में उनकी forex पे काफ़ी ज़्यादा जोर पड़ रही है इस वजह से. As a result, the import of the dairy has declined by 32% and 184 million rupees for the first 9 months was incurred. India is the world's largest dairy and top milk producers and consumer for the country. टेक्निकल असिस्टेंस की बात की गई है इंडिया की तरफ से. बेसिकली श्रीलंका ने टेक्निकल असिस्टेंस की बात की है इंडिया से. In a bid to scale up the dairy productions and become self-sufficient, Sri Lanka has sought technical assistance from National Dairy Development Board and market leaders Amul for reviving the collaborations and attempt for the late 90s but failed forward. बट उसको आगे बढ़ाने की बात की है. जो एक्सपेरिमेंट पहले हुई हैं उनको और किस तरह से सक्सेस किया जा सकता. Sri Lanka president has appointed a committee to representative with the Sri Lanka public and private sector to work with the National Dairy Development Board and a medium of long-term, short-term and medium-term plans that how they can execute and basically to reduce their import from different countries. श्रीलंका डेयरी इंपोर्ट की अगर बात करें, करेंटली श्रीलंका डोमेस्टिक डेयरी प्रोडक्शंस मीट लेस देन हाफ ऑफ इट्स रिक्वायरमेंट. जो डॉलर स्टैप्ड नेशन है बिकॉज ऑफ द इकोनॉमिक रिसेशन दैट वी हैव सीन, द वर्स्ट इकोनॉमिक रिसेशन सिंस इंडिपेंडेंस, तो काफ़ी उनको अपनी इंपोर्ट करनी पड़ती न्यूजीलैंड से. द कंट्री इकोनॉमिक हैज thrashed by this year, leading to severe shortage of milk powder as well in Sri Lanka, where milk is a scarce and unavailable to the most of the citizens. इंडिया सेंट्रल एशिया मीटिंग ऑफ द नेशनल सिक्योरिटी एडवाइजर, जो NSA की मीटिंग हुई है, काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट मीटिंग है. इफ यू राइटिंग इन जनरल स्टडीज पेपर 3 स्पेसिफिकली फॉर द इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी, आप इस तरह के टॉपिक्स या फिर जो मीटिंग्स हैं उनको ज़रूर हाईलाइट करें. In an address to inaugural India Central Asia meeting with the National Security Advisor, the India's National Security Advisor strongly pushed for the greater priorities for the country in the region and called for terror financing, saying monetary resources and lifeblood for the terrorism. Right? So these are some of the important priority areas that India has taken care of. And India in many other multilateral forum has also called for curbing the terror financing and basically to ensure a strengthened rules and regulation with regard to terrorism. Now, participants, the National Security Advisor basically was the part of the meeting, which include the NSA from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, have attended the conflict, while Turkmenistan is being represented by its ambassador to India. Now, key priorities की अगर बात करें, India's National Security Advisor has said that the Central Asian country remained the key priority for India. Mr. Ajit Doval is a National Security Advisor who has categorically have emphasized about the importance of the Central Asian countries. And connectivity wise भी अगर बात करें तो Central Asia एक बहुत ही important map work है इंडिया के लिए. You can get a question on analysis part as well, and those who are having PSI as their optional, उनके लिए भी ये reason काफ़ी important है. India stand ready to cooperate, invest, build connectivity in the region. And while expanding the connectivity, it is important to ensure that connectivity initiatives are consultative, transparent, and participatory with respect to sovereignty and territorial integrity for all the countries. So this is what all the country together has called for, and India has specifically pushed for connectivity, कुछ ऐसी initiative हो जहाँ पे inclusive development हो इस पूरी region के लिए. So this is what the India priority was in this meeting. This was all about for the FC. We have a lot more other initiatives for you like daily news and editorial analysis, which I covered from the Hindu and Indian Express. IASGYAN की magazine है जो आप download कर सकते हैं for current affair. FCA is there. PIB, MPR, Just of Yojana and Kurukshetra. All this initiative will help you to sail through the journey of civil services. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.